Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Virche Evermore, continuing Lucas's train wreck of a route. Okay, that's sarcasm. This is great. We're having a great time. Everything is awful, but in the best way possible. Like, goddamn. So anyway, now we're Lucas. Are we Lucas in his sleep? Is he dreaming? Uh, uh, a young boy was crouching in a sea of red. What's the matter? Able to turn a blind eye, I reached out to the young boy, only to be greeted by silence. Oh, but my voice melted into the dark before reaching the young boy. Spread across the alley were gruesome corpses with their chests slashed and their hearts gouged out. The boy somehow suppressed his nausea and dragged himself to one of the bodies. Pulled out a dagger and stabbed it into the gaping hole where the heart once rested. Interesting. This was like the prior person who was doing these? This is Lucas, unless Lucas is seeing himself, but he was never, quote unquote, a young boy when the Society of Exorcists found him. Huh.
Purification complete. I need to offer a prayer to.
Hear the feeling of rending flesh. The young boy put his hand over his mouth and groaned. Ah, I see. How disappointing. Upon closer look, the corpses spread out before me belonged to what were once demons. Sure, this young boy had purified all the demons. A wonderful demonstration of his faith. I was sure God was pleased. But the young boy didn't look happy at all. He simply cowered on the ground with tears flowing from his eyes. Do you think that because this is in Lucas's mind, because I don't know if this is like a memory or if it's a dream, but if it's a dream, do you think it's like he's watching his younger self? Like he's like, oh, it's a young boy, but it's like him as a young boy seeing his younger self because his younger self would be horrified by doing this. So there's like, that's like his dream way of being like, there is a part of you that is horrified about what you're doing. Just tune into that, buddy. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry. I will pray for my sins one day when my soul is reaped by death. But please don't forgive me.
I'm gonna guess it's baby Lucas because this is what he's saying.
If you're all fakes, I'm a true monster that's lost all sense of good.
It's baby Lucas. He's watching himself in a dream. And that's interesting. Oh, I like that. That's good. Because that is the innocent part of him. That's the part of him that knows what he's doing is wrong. You know? The next day, Arpachel rejoiced their short time of peace, knowing that none were killed in the night. After reporting back to Adolphe that things were safe, headed down a different path to arrive at that hospital where Nadia was undergoing treatment. Memories of those horrible experiments made me dizzy for a moment, but I somehow steadied myself and headed to the entrance of the hospital, with Lucas holding my hand in place of a shackle. His eyes wandered about, and I could feel his hand shaking through mine. We never did say yes or no to marrying him. He did ask us to marry him, for fuck's sake. The reason for his state was this morning. Last night, the man who confessed his warped sense of love. Ah. No matter how much I love you, I can't accept that I did such a thing to a student of mine in the heat of the moment. He started to get nervous immediately after waking up this morning over what he did. It seemed as if he was intending to confess his love, but never thought of kissing me. He kept apologizing to me while on the bed, over and over again. I'm just saying, we're lucky that's where it stopped, was forced kissing me. I'm just saying! At least they kept it tame. They're giving us other trauma. They weren't gonna, push that on us, but... I wasn't sure how to respond to his confession either, so... Here I was now simply following his lead. The compared to the first day of detainment, I wasn't as scared of each movement or word from him now. Suddenly, the entrance of the hospital opened, revealing a small figure. Huh? Could it be? With a small figure in my brain, literally. Huh? Could it be? Yeah, it is! And he's saying the same thing to us! You, me, same, dog.
I knew it. If it isn't Spacey and Lucas. It's been a while. I've been meaning to apologize for everything Cyan did back then. Though it looks like you've been dragged into another scary situation once again.
Okay, Lucas? Grab his arm. Don't you fucking touch him. Don't you touch him. He's Nadia's friend. I don't care if you think he's a demon. He's her friend. She's friends with the demon and you will let him go. Yes, well, I was sure he knew what was going on from Cyan. He tried to avoid the subject while showing concern for my well-being. And may I ask what you're doing around here?
I was visiting a friend I made at the hospital. It's Nadia Proust. I'm sure you know. She's your younger sister, isn't she?
Oh, no! Huh? Friend? Wait a minute. So the new friend Nadia told us about was you, Dad?
That's correct. We hit it off when we met one day by chance. I was surprised to learn she was Lucas's sister. Small world, right? Kind brother and a cute younger sister. I'm an only child, so I envy you.
Dad spoke as he put on a lab coat he'd been carrying on his arm. And suddenly, from Lucas's face to his shoes, despite his short height, Dawood inspected him without an expression on his face. Is there a problem? Or is there something you want to say to me?
I suppose yes would be the answer. I was actually thinking of heading over to your house to talk.
I can't let you in. There's a cage. To Lucas's house? Disconcerting, Nadia.
Yes. Lucas, I know this is sudden, but are you aware that Nadia is suffering from something called a genetic disorder?
Huh?
From the looks of it, I guess you didn't know. Glad I got you here then.
Genetic disorder? I thought it was some unknown disease.
Well, you are correct in that what she has is technically unknown. But first I have a log with me of what we all chatted about back at the Institute. Do you mind checking it out?
With that, Dawood took out a small device that looked similar to a transmitter, then started it up. Started it up. Excuse me, Director, Deputy Director, what's a genetic disorder? I've never heard of it before.
Yeah, I don't blame you for not knowing much about it.
We don't have to recap this whole thing.
Since we have the opportunity, why don't we have a short lesson?
We watched as they discussed a diagram on the blueprint of life that constructed humans and defects that might occur.
So what's happening is that Nadia was born with genes that weaken her muscles to extreme fragility.
Sorry, hold on.
I know I'm being a busybody, but I figured it'd be best to let her family know the gist of the situation. After all, I was worried that something similar might happen to you too because of your genes, Lucas.
I see. Yeah, so, he obviously does have a genetic disorder, but his genetic disorder is his body is, a bazillion times stronger than a normal human's, and Nadia got the inverse of that, which is, she's fucking glass. If her genes were the cause of her state, and then no wonder none of the doctors could find the reason for her ailment. Who would have thought we'd learn the reason behind it in this way?
Uh-huh. Well, I'm sorry. It's not like I know the cure yet, so I guess I really am being a busybody here.
Oh, it's just knowing the reason is a great advancement. I will let Nadia know when the opportunity permits. And thank you very much for sharing such valuable information.
No worries. I only did it because she's a good friend. We do still have Bora to worry about, so I'm thinking of staying away from the hospital for a while, just in case. You both should be careful, too.
No, you really need to be actually, that's a good idea, Dawood. Please don't get hurt. Please, Dawood. Don't become a victim of Boro. Kicks Lucas in the shin. Turns and looks at him slowly right now. If you hurt that child, I don't care what you think of him. I don't care what you think of Relivers. Do not hurt Dawood, okay? Don't hurt that boy. I know he's like a 40-year-old man in a 15-year-old body, but he's still a boy, goddammit. Don't you hurt that child. Don't you hurt my baby grandpa, okay? Cyan's really the grandpa over here because he's 80. So, Dawood's your mini dad. Don't hurt mini dad.
alright? Don't hurt my mini dad. Okay? You leave him alone. He's Nadia's friend. Dawood finished by asking us to say hello to Nadia before skipping off. Of all people, it's someone working to create those demons as Nadia's friend. No, but that doesn't mean that I have the right to limit her friendships with others. So you don't like the people who work at the Institute after all? Do you feel the same about Cyan too? He's the source of the demons in this world, and the one I detest most. You know, Lucas, I'm gonna need you to get over it, because, okay, Lucas, we got some rules in the man harem, sweetie, and there is no fighting or stabbing in the man harem. Okay, well, the rule was always just no fighting in the man harem, but, like, do I have to add no murder in the man harem? I have to add no murder in the man harem now. All right, Lucas, sit down. There's no murder in the man harem. There is no murder outside. Okay? There is no murder. You gotta stop, sweetie. I will whack you on the nose with a rolled up newspaper, all right? Don't make me. If every once in a while Cyan's being a dick and you have to punch him, I mean, that's fine. Because it's not really fighting. Like, every once in a while a bitch slap, probably warranted, okay? But we're gonna sit down and discuss our differences like reasonable fucking adults. Alright? Not gonna start any wars. We're just gonna say that bitch has ugly shoes and, like, snark behind her back, but that's how we do things, okay? Like, I'm not talking about Cyan in particular with the ugly shoes, because I have no idea what his shoes look like, but I'm just saying. Listen. There's not gonna be, you don't have to like Cyan, but you're gonna have to fucking suffer. Okay? Or you're gonna be the one in the cage. Don't make me put a cage in the man harem, okay? That is not something I ever thought I was gonna put in here. Don't make me do it. And if you hurt Cyan, you're gonna be evicted from the man harem, okay? I don't mean in the game. Like, if you do it in the game, like, fine. But, like, once you get into the man harem, there's no more murdering people, okay? I gotta draw a line. I don't want to have to evict Lucas. He's precious and beautiful. I mean, he's a psycho, but, like, whatever. Stabbing me is one thing, okay? The guy signed up for that shit, so. I was finally able to come into contact with him, so I'm surprised God hasn't called for his purification. I never knew we thought that way ever since we befriended Cyan. I mean, I feel like a lot of people have, like, I don't know if they've all wanted to stab him, but I'm sure a couple of them wanted to bitch slap him a little bit. It was in his eyes back then when we lived together under the same roof. Just the thought sent a chill down my spine. If we know what's ailing her, then perhaps God's work can completely cure her. It is quite frustrating, but I should repay him for providing information before I receive word to purify his existence. Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to tell you no, you can't do that. He had in his hands a small ray of hope. He didn't send Dahood off with cold eyes as I thought he would. I do like he's like, oh no, God hasn't told me to kill him yet, so I'm totally not gonna. Like, Dahood's fine until I get that phone call. Ring, ring. Stab baby daddy. Oh. Mini dad. Oh, baby dad. No, wait. He's a baby. And he's like a dad, but like, he's not really a dad, but you know what I mean? He's like old enough to be your dad, probably. Yeah, that came out so wrong, and it seems, and I need to go crawl in a hole and cry for a minute. Like, gross. Mini dad over here. Like, I actually don't know how many times Dahood's come back. How many like, it's only gonna be a second time around. He could only be like 30. Like, he'd still be a dad at 30. I mean, he could be a dad at like 15, technically. But like, you know, Cyan's definitely your grandpa. Not really my grandpa. He's only in his 80s. That's closer to actually being my parents. Older than my parents, younger than my grandparents. Although, to be fair, I only have one parent left and no grandparents left. But, like, he's too young to be my grandparent. No. Well, no, not really. No, not really at all, no. Depending on when you had kids and stuff. Anyway. Cyan's a granddad. He's grandpa. Okay? Dahood's like your dad. Everybody else here is basically, like, just normal. So. Seeing that there wasn't much to worry about now, Lucas and I went inside to visit Nadia, who seemed to be in good health. you two were friends with Dalit. And I was looking forward to introducing him, too. Dalit says he's good at baking cookies. Makes me wonder who's the better cook between Spacey and Dalit.
Oh my god, we need to have a cookie bake-off, yes. Isn't it obvious? My former student would be much better than him.
There's your favoritism again.
No, he's just over there like demons can't bake cookies. You don't know. I'm pretty sure demons bake way better cookies. I'm just saying. That's why people go to the dark side. They have really motherfucking banging cookies. They make monster cookies. They're not just baking chocolate chips. They're making fucking monster cookies. I totally forgot like 100 years ago that I made like compost cookies. That are just like... I think I had gotten like a mix at like Target or something one time. But it literally you could do it yourself. Because it's literally just like put all your favorite shit into fucking cookies. Like, that's a genius fucking idea. Why do we not do this? You're like, do I feel like chocolate chip cookies? Or do I feel like peanut butter cookies? No, both! Chocolate chip peanut butter. And I don't just mean put chocolate chips in your peanut butter cookies. I mean, take your, like, chocolate chip cookie dough and your peanut butter cookie dough and then mix it. And then you're like, do you like pretzels in your cookies? Chuck some pretzels in there. Do you want marshmallows? Chuck some of those in there. But I think the compost cookies I had, it was just a dough, and then it was like, put different toppings in there. You could put potato chips in there if you really wanted to. Crunch up some potato chips. Or like espresso powder or like coffee grounds or whatever. If you like coffee flavor, you could literally put anything, you just put it all together. 6 different types of cookies. You're like, I got chocolate cookie dough, and then like I've got regular cookie dough, like chocolate chip cookie dough, and then I got the chocolate chip, and then I got peanut butter, and then you want like oatmeal chocolate chip, and put them all together, just mix them all up, and then it's just this like, and that's why it's called compost cookies, because it's literally like garbage. It's basically throw fucking everything in a thing. It's your kitchen sink, everything but the kitchen sink, right? You're like, I just threw everything. To be fair, it's kind of like American Dream nut butter. You've ever had their nut butters? They have peanut butter, cashew butter, almond butter. I'm gonna pimp them. I wish that, like, oh my god, they're like crack. Because if you like, I mean, I prefer the peanut butter because like the cashew butter and the almond butter is good, but there's just something about peanut butter that is literally like crack to me. Like my bird is the same way. Like I was just like, I could just eat an entire fucking jar. I have to there is no filter. It's like, I know I just ate an entire, like, 2-pound thing of Jif, but I'll fucking do it. Even if, like, sitting there, you're like, just scoop full of peanut butter. I have to, like, just take a scoop and walk away. Don't take the jar with you and eat it. Because I will eat it and be like, I'm going to vomit. But, like, I don't have a filter until, oh, God, I ate too much. I'm going to puke. But, anyway. But they put all sorts of fun, like, flavorings and, like, toppings and stuff. And, like, yeah, it's a decadent, naughty little treat. They do have protein powder and stuff in it, so it's got more protein in it, so that's not bad. You know. And like, but like, you could get it with like all sorts of different like fun toppings. And then you're like, there's my peanut butter that's got like the Yabba Dabba Delicious one that's got like the like Cocoa Pebbles basically in it, I think. And it's like chocolate flavored. I don't like chocolate that much, but it's like a chocolate flavored peanut butter with like the like Cocoa Crispy kind of things inside there and God knows what. And it's like, it's just so fucking good. God, they're so fucking good. And there's a bazillion flavors and it's really fucking hard. It's really fucking hard. There is a lemon. I think it's a cashew butter one. I think it's like a lemon cookie one or something. That one's good. But there's something about the texture of almond butter and cashew butter I don't like as much as peanut butter. But anyway, highly recommend if you want candy crack peanut butter or cashew butter or almond butter. You don't want just the plain ones. You want the ones that have like some fun flavors and some fun things inside. Also, just whenever you're feeling cookies, just throw it all fucking together and bake it. Do it all. I'm apparently hungry without realizing that I'm like, my stomach isn't growling, but apparently the rest of me is like, bitch, we need food. So now we are just thinking of cookies. They mentioned cookies. I can't stop thinking of cookies and peanut butter. I just got an order of American Dream nut butter, so like I have like 4 jars in my pantry now. They last a year without opening them, so anyway.
I wish I could taste both and compare them, but I can't eat anything aside from what's served here. Have you ever had Dahut's baked goods before, Spacey?
sorry. I was daydreaming for a second. What were you saying about Dahut's baking? Noticing that something was wrong, Nadia stared intently at me, but that worry wasn't only directed to me. The moment she started talking to me, Lucas looked down and fiddled with his hands, clasping and releasing them repeatedly. His actions were more than enough to catch Nadia's attention. Did something happen between you? Looks like the air is rather dry in here, so why don't I brew some tea for us? He must have felt sure I wouldn't do anything rash with Nadia around. Lucas quickly left the room without waiting for a response, as though he couldn't handle the mood inside the room anymore. Oh, sure! Leave me with that weighted question that she's going to ask me, and I'm going to be like, I don't know. Do I talk about the fact that your brother asked me to marry him and force kiss me, but I'm not really sure, and even though I was in love with him, but I don't know if I am anymore. I am, but I'm not. But I can't tell you why, because that would crush you, or also the genetic disorder thing. Like, what am I supposed to talk about here? Let's just talk about cookies again. I've never seen my brother like this before. Maisie, has something happened between you two? Ah, fuck. I didn't think saying no would work, since she was already assuming I would admit it. But did that mean I could actually tell her what was happening? I mean, you can, but no. Yeah and no. Like, yeah, but you gotta leave out the part where he's a murderer, so, like, how do you explain around that? After thinking about it for a moment, well, a lot of things have happened in the past few days. I had the opportunity to learn more about Lucas, things that I didn't know about before. Yes, I'm a bit confused because he seems like a completely different person. He also said something I didn't expect, so I'm really confused. That is a really great way to avoid everything! I'm not really sure which side of Lucas I should be looking at now. I tried my best to keep my response vague so as not to reveal Lucas's identity. He said something you didn't expect. Don't tell me, did he confess his love to you? I think so. No, girl, there's no thinking. He absolutely fucking did, like, blatantly. But I love that Nadia's us. Did he finally confess his love to you? Then why don't you just marry him already? And she's over there like, but I mean the cage and the just marry the man! Nadia is all of us. Girl! Who cares about the cage? That's a bonus, I guess. Sort of. A little kinky, but whatever. We'll get past it. I see. From the looks of it, I guess it wasn't as dreamy as I thought it would be. It was a little hard after you saw the man murdering someone. You saw him rip out someone's heart, so, like, it does put a little bit of a damper on the, confession there. Nadia herself had wanted me to be in a romantic relationship with Lucas, but despite hearing what happened, she didn't seem overjoyed. At first, I was happy to see you two holding hands, thinking that my brother was finally honest with himself, but I guess it's not what it seems. I mean, both of you don't look happy at all. It's almost like you two are strangers now. Sorry, I don't mean to make you feel anxious. It's okay. To be honest, I have a hard time guessing what my brother might be thinking sometimes. Is it because you found out he murders people? Just ignore it. I do. Could you fucking imagine if she knew? She's like, I'm not stupid. I may be confined to this bed, but I'm not stupid or blind. Oh, but I think I can guess what secret you learned after knowing him better. I bet you found out that my brother and I are both followers of the society and have no intention of becoming relivers. That is indirectly related, sorta. Yes, I was surprised when I found out. And it was painful to think about how I won't be able to see you two again after you die. Me too. It's sad, especially since we became friends, but it's something we discussed and agreed on already. It's really scary thinking about a future when my brother isn't alive, but I mean, to be fair, that's just reality. Well, you don't usually have to think about it at 12 years old because TikTok, your brother's about to die any day now, type of a thing. You know what I mean? Technically, we all have a ticking time bomb over us. Our clocks are ticking down. You just don't know. Do you have 20 years? Do you have 20 days? Do you have 20 minutes? You don't know. You know? But I gotta be honest with you, you don't think about this. I've thought about my mortality more in the last, year and a half because of all my blackout issues that I was having, where then I'm like, I have a brain tumor, I'm gonna die. Oh my god, is this the end? And like, no, I don't have a brain tumor. I'm pretty sure it was just my vitamin D was like non-existent. Because since I've been taking vitamin D again and magnesium and all of that, I'm like, I felt really great for the past like month. Like, no issues, no nothing. Everything's been good. Like, yeah, I mean, it's been a little over a month, and I'm like, I feel a lot better. I don't know if it was it could have been like I have ocular hypertension, which is just my eye pressure is always high. And I started other drops, and I'm like, and maybe that had something to do with it, oddly, because the day that I went to go to a glaucoma specialist to kind of get tested more just to make sure there was no nerve damage or anything else wrong, and that it's just the drops I'm on just aren't good enough for me, and they dilate your pupils and they do all that. Like that day, it was like constant. Like I didn't black out, but I had constant like weird ass moments where I was like, oh yeah, and things shit's not good. So I don't know. And then I'm like, but now that I'm on these other drops and my pressure is down and back to where it should be, I'm like, maybe it really could have been the pressure in my eyes doing something weird in my brain. But like, my eye doctor wasn't like, it could be your pressure that's causing these weird issues. Because, but then again, I mean, maybe my body's just stupid. Okay? Because like, bodies are dumb, dude, But at any rate, when I was dealing with all of this, and it was like my sister had come to my house, and I don't know who started the conversation, but I mentioned something about the fact that I had blacked out, and I was having weird, fuguey kind of moments where it was just like having these vivid visual hallucination type things. And my sister was like, now a good time to tell you I had a dream you died? Like, those came out at around the same trip that she was here, and I'm like, yeah, you know what, I really need to go to a doctor. Like, I was already like, I blacked out, and that's not normal, and I've been having these weird issues. Because the first time I blacked out, I thought it was just low blood sugar. Like, I haven't eaten a lot, I just blacked out because I had low blood sugar or whatever. But, after all the other weird issues, and then my sister saying that, I'm like, yeah, no, I gotta go to a doctor, I think I'm gonna die. And like, at the time, I was like, it better not be something stupid like low iron or something. You know what I mean? But now I'm like, I'm really glad it might be something stupid like, you know what I mean? You're like, really? You don't, but at the same time, you're like, that was a really stupid thing to say, because like, I don't want it to be like a brain tumor, or like my kidneys are failing, or my heart doesn't work right. You know what I mean? Heart disease runs in my family, and I've always just been waiting for guess what? You got it. You know what I mean? I've been waiting for that my whole life. So, but having to go to a neurologist and getting MRIs and, getting heart scans and doing all of those things is like, you're like, oh my God, like your mortality is like right there, and it's kind of scary. But also today, like, I did my taxes and something just hit me in the face with I'm filing for Spacey, who's deceased. Because that's a question, like, if, like, when you die, someone has to file your taxes for you. So there's that question, like, you're filing for this person. And I'm like, oh, there was something I was like, why did that just, me like, oh, I see that question every fucking year when I file my taxes. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, no, none of these apply. And but for some reason that hit me today, like, I'm mildly offended by that. Like, kind of bothered me. Like, maybe it's because we're playing this game, and like, I'm like, you know what? So like, your mortality is hanging over your head, but you just don't have to think about it as much as these people do. So, and with the technology they have to bring people back, it's almost weightier, because right now, everyone in your life will leave it at some point. Whether you just lose touch and you're like, oh, I wonder how that person's doing. I hope they're doing well or whatever. Or they die. You know what I mean? That person is going to leave your life at some point. Whether they leave first or you leave. There's a finality to it. But in this world, there really isn't. Even though, we're cursed. We have the curse of death upon us, whatever. But people go and become relivers. So, like, it's almost like there is still that heaviness of death, because everyone's going to die at 23, and that's terrible and tragic, and we've got this weight. Oh, but, like, they're probably going to come back. So, like, when you run into your friends, like, it's this weird juxtaposition where, oh, you are going to die, even though you're living with this weight of death on you, knowing that your time is literally ticking down. You can see it ticking in front of you. Unlike the rest of us, we have no idea where that invisible, like, lifeline clock is, These people know. So while that's scarier, there's also that, like, well, everyone will be a reliever and it'll be fine. Like, you can just kind of pretend. And then now when you're faced with it, it's almost a heavier thing because you're like, oh. Like, it's a very weird, like, the way they set this up where you're like, God, it's heavy no matter what way you look at it. Like, shit. And then you have to file your taxes and you see you're filing for Spacey who's deceased and you're like, my mortality is on the line. I mean, this game fucks with you, man. Anyway. Yeah, Nadia's gonna face a future where her brother isn't alive very soon.
If it weren't for this hospital, I would have died first. I don't want to sadden my brother with my death. So I can't ask for much more now. And just look at me. I'll probably go after my brother before I even have time to feel sad about losing him.
Well, that's a positive way to look at it. I think Lucas will be very mad if he heard that.
You look a little mad, too.
Of course I am. She could have died first. Oh, that sounded so right. Like, she could have died first. That's what she's thinking. But that came out so cold. Because, like, I was like, yeah, of course I'm a little mad. She could have died first. Wait, that's not how she keeps thinking that in her head. Damn. More like she could have died first. Nadia, when you first came here, do you remember what Lucas was like back then?
Not really.
Oh, right. I mean, it was around 8 years ago, so I guess you wouldn't remember what...
Huh? And that's not it. The reason I don't remember much isn't because of my age. It's because I was asleep for a few months after being admitted here. That's why I don't know about anything that happened back then.
She's like, it's not because of my age.
Ageist? Jesus. God. I'm like middle-aged at this point, you know that, right?
Huh? Few months. If I recall correctly, Lucas mentioned that he brought Nadia here and that she recovered after he killed a reliever. Nadia, are you sure? You're not mistaken, are you?
I'm sure. When I woke up, it was a totally different season. I was so surprised.
Nadia spoke confidently. Wait, what's going on? This feeling, my premonition was so ominous that it felt like something disgusting had risen in my throat. My vision suddenly inversed. A shock ran through my body the moment I heard the shatter of porcelain. He had mounted himself on me with a hand wrapped around my neck. I couldn't speak. His superhuman strength was slowly pressing down on my throat when, what is he doing?
Brother, what are you doing?
But her voice didn't reach him. He was breathing heavily and his eyes were devoid of any sanity. This is intriguing. I struggled to try and break free, but the more I moved, the stronger his grip was around my neck. Oh, I just hit my neck, though. My mouth opened in pain, feeling that he would snap my neck before I suffocated. Even then, he still looked at me with the crazed eyes that he showed that night.
Stop! Brother, you're going to kill Spacey if you don't stop! Come on, move! Why can't he even get off this bed?
Nadia's yelling must have been loud enough. What in the world is going... Just before my consciousness faded, Capucine and his staff came dashing into the room. I was actually surprised Nadia didn't throw herself off the bed so that Lucas would hear her crash and then he'd, like, snap out of it. His staff was confused by the situation, but Capucine himself was calm as he gave his orders. Several of his men forced Lucas to move off my body, and the doctor crouched down to his eye level. Capucine snapped his fingers in front of Lucas. It sounds now like maybe he's being mind-controlled. His body trembled and jerked, and the light returned to his once hollow eyes. You know, I think I'm gonna have to take back what I said in the last part that Lucas would never hurt us, because... The fuck, bro? Listen! You gotta be able to hear the safe word if we're gonna do this choking shit. I didn't sign up for this. You chain me up, you tie me to the bed or, like, put me in a cage, that's like one thing, but choking me, I'm not sure I'm down with that. I couldn't even sit up as I swallowed gulps of air so quickly that I coughed again and again. But my teacher was, for some reason, confused as to why he was knelt down on the floor. Brother? Nadia, why are you so afraid? You too, Spacey. What are you doing on the floor?
I have a question for you, too. Brother, why were you trying to kill her?
Huh? Because, don't tell me you don't remember anything. His confused expression was all the answer I needed. I was more astonished than afraid. My voice wasn't shaking, despite almost being killed. Furthermore, I'd already been prepared to die on some level after discovering that he was Bordeaux. Still, witnessing her one and only brother try to kill a girl in front of her presented a different image in her mind.
Does this have something to do with how you two were acting so differently today? Did you get into a fight? No matter the reason, you shouldn't be violent against her.
I love Nadia so much. She's like,
I don't care if you got in a fight, you shouldn't beat your girlfriend. Jesus, what the fuck? Especially with how strong you are.
Nadia, explain to me what happened. Are you telling me I tried to kill her in front of you? That's impossible. I was just with Dr. Capucine brewing some tea in the kitchen. As if seeking help, he looked up to Capucine, but... Well, now this makes me wonder how sus you are, because that's what I'm like. Did Capucine, like, drug him or something? Like, I feel like he's being mind-controlled a little bit, and now it just makes me... If Capucine's gonna be like, I don't know what you're talking about, then I'm sus now. I mean, okay, Capucine was always a little suspicious, don't be fair. Like, let's not joke, but... He was silent without a sign of emotion. But Nadia probably misinterpreted their exchange as if they were trying to change the subject.
Brother, do you think so little of me that you won't tell me the truth?
Nadia's arm shook as she grabbed hold of her bedsheets with frustration. She continued in a shaking voice.
Of course, I haven't left the hospital in ages, and I might die at any moment. Why even bother discussing or telling me anything? Anything at all? I wasn't able to help her either. Couldn't even get out of bed on my own.
Nadia, you're not...
But I want to be of some support to you too, brother. I've been bearing the pain and suffering from the treatments and medicine just so we can keep having our conversations. But you, all you do is smile. You never once complained in front of me. I'm supposed to be your only family too. Look, and she looks so sad.
I have it all wrong, Nadia. All I want is for you to be happy. Nothing else. He reluctantly extended his hand to Nadia as tears continued to flow from her eyes. But before he could wipe away her tears, Nadia suddenly grabbed her chest, crying out in pain. Nadia! Nadia, just hold on. He called her name with all his might, but she only responded with heavy panting. Look what you did, Lucas! You almost killed your sister! Her already pale face slowly turned blue, and her eyes widened to their limit. We are not watching her die right now, game. What the fuck? Move aside. Capucine quickly shoved Lucas out of the way and quickly assessed Nadia's condition. We need to hurry. Get me the sedatives. Sir! Seeing Capucine give orders to his staff, Lucas and I finally snapped out of our stupor. What's going on here, Minister? I just did a purification yesterday, so why is she having a seizure already? She used to be stable for a few weeks after a single purification. Then perhaps it's your prayers that are lacking. Wow. What a bitch pose and a bitch comment. You're in the way. I need you to leave the room. No, leave the hospital immediately. Lucas froze at his scathing tone. Yeah, Capucine's way more sus now than he was. The friendly relationship I witnessed at their hidden facility had disappeared. Just as I was about to come to the conclusion that this was their actual relationship. Sir? Capucine's sudden change of behavior had Lucas utterly confused. But please wait. This is bizarre. What is happening? I'm very confused. Leaving the room is fine, but there's no reason for us to leave the hospital. We won't get in the way of treatment, so... I am not so compassionate that I would forgive a murderer's attempt to kill someone at my hospital. But... He doesn't have any memory of what he did. True, meaning it's even more dangerous to have a mindless monster in our midst. Monster? How dare you say that after abusing him? Oh, the horror. If you don't like what I'm saying, you're free to leave with your younger sister. Huh? Oh, haven't heard? I admitted Nadia into this hospital under the condition that Lucas follows every order I give him. Which meant no different from holding her hostage. Unbelievable! It's your job as a doctor to save patients seeking help. I hear that a lot from those who think medical treatments incur no expenses. I'm being quite lenient with them, you know. Our hospital has a unique management system, which is very costly, so no mere teacher could afford my services. Aren't I compassionate in giving him the opportunity to work off the expenses? Come now, Lucas, don't just stand there. I'm sure you have better things to do. After shrugging, Capucine tossed a notebook to the stunned Lucas. It's a list of demons that God has ordered to have purified. Your mission is to go and purify every last one of them. You are hereby prohibited from meeting with her until you fulfill your mission. I can't even see her. But that was never the case before. Quickly picked up the notebook with the list of names. I hurried to his side to see the names on the list. What the? There are at least 100 names here! Despite the situation we were in, the number of victims for Bordeaux to claim was unusually high. Why would there be an increase like this? Lucas must be thinking the same thing as he reluctantly tried to ask a question, when suddenly... Blood flowed out instead of words. The spotless hospital floor was painted red. Lucas! Blood must be clogging his throat as his body convulsed with each cough of blood. And this wasn't a disease. It was a rite of suffering that all adults in this country must face one day, reaching the end of their lifespan. Lucas's face drained of color as he realized that the curse had come at the worst possible time. Even in this situation, Capucine chuckled quietly without offering any help. Ah, perfect timing. I'm sure God will offer divine protection to Nadia if you carry out his will before you perish. But this isn't what you said before. Promise that when I die, you would let Nadia be there in my last moments. Is Lucas really going to die right now? Disgusting. Take him away. In the doorway appeared a number of his followers who forcefully dragged me and Lucas out of the room. Let me go. Nadia! He shouted her name as he winced from the symptoms of his eventual death. I know he's a murderer, but this is sad, this is mean. Rather easy. Nadia responded despite being unconscious, then extended her hand as if seeking help. But... Nadia, you need to stay still. Capucine gently wrapped her fingers in and slowly set her arm down on the bed. What the fuck? And with that, Lucas had lost his right to see his younger sister. Cold. I mean, I'm not shocked Capucine's a douche because, he always kind of came across as a douche, but he's finally going to die. He's a lot more resilient than I thought. Don't you worry, Nadia. Instead of that barbaric killer, I will take good care of you and your genes, okay? That sounds not promising. That sounds traumatic. My teacher, who had become Bordeaux, threw me into the iron cage without a word. He lightly struck a part of the floor with his giant halberd to reveal a hidden chamber. He stood, prepared to fulfill his mission as Bordeaux, but... Don't go, Lucas! You need to go to another hospital for treatment! Capucine said it's completely wrong. There has to be something behind the idea of killing relivers that's keeping Nadia alive. Regardless, I need to kill. He saw relivers as demons. I need to kill relivers. I wanted to kill them, not purify them. Or Nadia will be killed again. Huh? His consciousness was like a hazy mist. The pain and sorrow could be seen on his face. stood up and took a few breaths and placed his hand on the entrance door. I feel like that goes back to she'll be killed again. That goes back to, like, maybe what she said, like, oh no, I woke up a few months later. You know what I mean? And we're like, huh. Like, I don't know if she actually, well, okay, didn't she actually, when in one of the flashbacks, she, like, quote unquote died. It's kind of like, I died once. Like, you died for a minute. You were technically not breathing, like, whatever, flatline for a minute or whatever. Like, I don't know if that happened. And then the other guy, before Capucine, murdered a reliver right in front, and then she came back. Or, you know, and then was unconscious for a while. If it was that type of a thing, or if there's something else to it. But going, please, be a good girl for me, okay? Whatever you need. Yeah, his bad ending's gonna be real traumatic, because, like, he's gonna die and Nadia's probably gonna die. I'm not sure if it's worse watching our love interest die, or knowing that our love interest's body is there, but possessed by his brother, but not real brother, and he's actually maybe dead, too. Because, like, Mathis was basically not Mathis anymore, but you were like, maybe Mathis is in there somewhere, you could hope. But, like, Lucas is like, once he's dead, he's gone. You know, like... Two men with reliver marks made their way home, unaware that their time was approaching.
Looks like the sun's about to go down. We better head back before Boro finds us. They said he's targeted us relivers, so we should keep an eye out, but aren't most people already relivers? Well, someone had better catch him soon, or we won't be able to get a damn rest.
As he was about to scratch his head, his right arm flew in front of him, covered in blood, before it could even touch his hair.
Huh?
He froze in shock. He tried to scratch his head again, but his brain signals never reached his hand. He looked down at the base of his arm, from which blood poured profusely. The young man finally realized that he had lost his arm. The culprit descended in front of them, a cloaked shadow holding a huge halberd. Both expressions changed to despair, noticing that the shadow in front of them matched the description in the newspaper.
Ah! Why? I thought you only appeared during the night!
Boro pulled back his huge halberd as they ran for their life. God. Their torsos split from the rest of their bodies. A total of 5 relivers were killed by Boro that day, from the evening hours until midnight. The Corps and the Royal Guard that fought him only ended up with casualties. From the next day forward, the casualties started to increase whenever the victims were indoors or whether the victims were indoors or outdoors. Uppershell was now ruled by fear throughout the day, not just at night like before. A week passed. I'd been living in captivity in this room under the surveillance of the society members who pretended to be Lucas's workmates. Unable to stay still much longer, I tried different means of escape to get in touch with Adolphe and the others, but my every effort failed, and I was sometimes even forced back into the cage. There was a royal decree limiting the citizens' freedoms of movement, so I couldn't expect anyone to come here to help. But among those who did come, Lucas visited every other day with his body covered in blood. No matter how much he did for Capucine, he still wasn't allowing him to see Nadia. As for today, Lucas returned and immediately fell to the floor from extreme strain and fatigue, splattering blood from his body. Blood spreading across the floor must be from those he killed, as well as the blood from his own mouth. Even so... Welcome back. No matter how bad of a state he was in, he would never forget to greet me when he came home. After squinting his eyes a few times, he somehow dragged himself over to the cage. Lucas... I instinctively reached out between the bars and touched him as he fell against the cage. His body was so cold that he was no different from the dead. Contact from the minister. I shook my head silently. I see. I've been purifying so many. Sure, taking good care of. Yeah. Despite how horribly he was treated, he still believed in Capucine and his god. After a few coughs, he weakly closed his eyes. He looks like he's gonna cry. Look at his beautiful sad eyes. I could at least tend to him if I weren't in here. I tried to bend the bars a number of times, but they didn't budge at all. As I bit my lip with frustration over how useless I felt. I don't know, saying you're a strange girl to worry about a murderer who's kept you in captivity. Capucine or Anko. From the door came the one who put Lucas in this situation, who was the source of all this evil. Obviously Capucine. I was like, did Anko magically appear again? Look, I'm just hoping he's not dead, but I feel like Lucas said he was dead and we haven't seen him since, so you know. Capucine, why are you here? Oh my, you seem to hate me so. I wonder why, as the sins I've committed are no different from those of the murderer lying by your side. I'll ask you again, why did you turn your back on Lucas? I haven't turned my back on him, simply enduring God's trials. Still, it's a terrible thing to have someone in a dying state go through the ordeal, which is why I came here to save him with the little compassion I have left. Save him? Capucine stepped over the spots of blood on the floor and walked toward Lucas. He took a syringe from his bag and stabbed the unconscious Lucas in the neck before injecting some kind of drug. I could hear his pulse. Next moment, his eyes opened wide and his pupils began to quiver vigorously. He then held his hand over where the syringe left a mark as he went into his seizure. All right, this should be enough to keep him mindless until he dies. Capucine spoke calmly as he wiped away the liquid left on the needle. Capucine, what did you do to him? It's my way of showing support. He's always liked this drug. As soon as I administer it, his movement is greatly improved. Now that I remember when Nadia was first brought to my hospital... So he's using it to control him, basically. Please, no more. I'll do it. I'll do whatever you say. I will kill the relivers with my own hands, so please. Please, no more. Don't kill Nadia. She still has time. I kept injecting him with this drug. All in the name of saving Nadia, whose heart stopped and recovered repeatedly. It took a while for me to brainwash him, but he did a good job at killing the relivers while crying like a baby. Yeah, okay. That explains, he's thinking he's doing a good thing, but, he's been brainwashed. Okay, yeah. That also explains why the little child in his dream himself is, hates what he's doing, because, that's his true self in there. I was appalled that he could laugh. This was what made me feel uncomfortable that night. This was the truth behind faith gone mad. There was no such thing as miracles. Instead, what brought danger to her life was sheer human malice. Capucine inhumanely brainwashed Lucas, using his younger sister's life as a shield, taking him down the path of evil. Just as my brain arrived at the truth, my vision went red with rage. Before I knew it, I was slamming against the iron bars with all my might. No, that's when you reach through, you grab him by the collar, and you pull him into the bars and smash his face into the bars. Don't smash yourself, smash him. Girl, come on. You're standing there, and that's when you, grab him by the collar, both hands as tightly as you can, and bash his pull, girl. All your might, pull his face right into those bars. Hell yeah. My skin peeled and blood was squeezed out. But my wounds were nothing like the pain Lucas and Nadia sustained. Capucine, you're the one who caused all this! You made him into a serial killer! It was all his fault. What kind of doctor are you? You don't have the right to call yourself one. I suppose you're forgetting that the doctor you're criticizing is the one keeping Nadia alive. Now then, I need to get going. Please tell Lucas to keep up the good work on his mission. Lovely assistant. Lucas slowly woke up right after Capucine left. His eyes were dull and unfocused. He struggled to breathe as his shoulders were moving up and down with each breath. Lucas! I grabbed his clothes, seeing him in pain, but he didn't stop. Liver. Demons. Let's kill them. As commanded. Stop! You're already at your limit. Fine. I can still do this. To purify the demons, I need to save Nadia. Once I'm allowed to see her, I need to apologize for making her cry. Coughed out some blood. But what should I do? You've never been in a fight before. I don't know how to make amends. One taught me how. Mother and father. This is all the angst now.
Of all things! How dare you bring chaos to this country, you fool!
Killed him. Killed him as commanded. Yeah, okay, that's what I figured. I'm not surprised about that. He was still trying to stand up. Even in his madness, he still cared for his younger sister, whom he used as support. Hard to look at him now. But at the same time, my love for him grew even stronger. Just as tears spilled from my eyes. Mom, I just want to hold you. Can you let me out of the cage? Oh no, and there's us in the cage while he's... Oh no, don't... This is... Oh... This is a sad CG, guys. Don't look. You can look, but don't. It's enough. It's enough already. You've already done your very best. I tried to embrace him through the bars. I spoke to him the same words that brought joy to my heart when he said them to me. His body shook as I pulled him back toward the bars. I don't need to be strong now. The time or the place to be strong, Spacey. In fact, I may have to scold you until you're honest with me. I used what he said to me before to try and reach him. You can't take it anymore. You can say you want help. It's okay to voice your anger. You saved me in the past by telling me I don't need to be strong all the time. So it's my turn to save you. Please don't try to be strong anymore. I want you to be weaker than you are now. Not, you won't ever let yourself cry. I was in my arms in a daze over what was happening. At the moment my tears began to wet his back. In response, he slowly released his strength. It hurts to do my best all alone. He spoke in a sorrowful voice. Yes. I want to verse how much I hate them. Never want to take a life resembling a human. Yes. He'd done what he could to protect his precious treasure, even to the point of insanity. The Capucin's selfish orders tore them apart. Lucas gasped as he took in some air. I want to quit. So little time left to live. Separated from her like this. He expressed a natural sentiment, one that all humans would understand. But Lucas wasn't allowed to scream his feelings, even though his days were numbered. Did God give such hardships to me and my sister? You could have just taken her, and I mean, now's the time to be like, I'm taking her, I don't give a fuck, because you have strength. We'll punch Capucine in the face, take your sister, and then you guys can die together, and at least you'll be together. Is that the salvation ending where they can die happily together? Because that's horrifying, and I hate that, but... To be fair, if they're both going to end up dead, I'd rather they get to be together when they die, and then we're just going to be sad and miserable, than like, what's going to happen here? Genetic disorder. Superhuman strength. For what? Didn't ask for any of it. We didn't need to be special. Wanted to hold hands and walk with her for a short time. Just walking as brother and sister. Wanted to live normal lives, to cherish our memories and emotions. I feel the same way. Only wanted to be by your side and see the two of you live happily. I I held him in my arms as he cried. I wanted to affirm all his wishes. If only they hadn't met the previous minister or Capucine. He would have just been a loving brother who was skeptical of relivers. One of the sins he committed can never be forgiven. Still, you can cry all you want. I'll stay by your side until the very end. I'll listen to everything you have to say. And we'll think together about how to make amends with Nadia. I've had my own share of fights with Adolphe like siblings do. I'm pretty experienced in reconciling. Trembling began to subside. He laid his hand gently on my arm that embraced him. Ow. To know. I thought I'd see the day that my student would become my teacher. I see now. I know how comforting it could be to accept help from someone else. This feels like such a fucking end, but I'm pretty sure we're only in chapter 3 still. Unless we're about to transition to chapter 4. And I thought the guide said something about like 4 chapters for most of them. I'm trying to see something. The round credit. Okay, 7 chapters for Les Salutes, which is Adolphe and Unco. Quite the contrast to the 4 to 5 chapters for the. Okay, so it's like 4 to 5 chapters, but we're still in chapter 3. So like, it's kind of amazing because they make this feel like this is the end. Like he's gonna die here. Like you're getting close, but like we're only in chapter 3, so we still have at least 1 chapter. Like, you know. But anyway, I'm gonna wrap this part up here. So I don't know. Look, I didn't want it to end, but doesn't it? Don't you feel like, oh my god, we're getting this is the end. We're gonna get out of the cage and hold him and wait for him to die, and he's just gonna die right here in our arms. But like, pretty sure we're still in. I didn't see the transition of 4, so like, you know what I mean? So like, there's been a lot of drama in his last like 2 chapters, but anyway, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.